Well, today, since it's a nice, hot, sunny day, I decided to use the oven and make one of our videographer's favorite desserts.
Okay.
Apple
this
crisp.
is to put a little stress on the air conditioner? Is that
Yes.
what you're trying to say?
Exactly.
Oh, you're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to make Brett's, one of his favorite desserts is apple crisp.
Mm-hmm.
And he, of course, is going to have to join us at the end so he can taste it.
He will?
Okay,
Yes.
so I hope he dressed up really nice today because he's
he
going to
always
be on
dresses.
TV.
He always dresses up.
Okay, so
No tie today, though. Uh-oh.
you are going to use our wonderful Pampered Chef peeler slicer corer.
Yep.
And with
Get
this
out of the
recipe,
way.
it makes a 9 by 13 pan.
Should I start?
You can start.
Okay.
And I'm just going to kind of wait a little bit because it doesn't take that long to do the topping.
This gets a little messy and sprays apple juice around a little bit.
That's what I
Okay.
can probably do while you're doing
You
that.
could-
Then I'll just
you could
grab
cut
them
those.
right away
Yep,
and
you-
start cutting.
You cut them in slices. Take out any seeds that might be in there.
Yeah, some people, I think, probably use every bit of the apple, including the seeds. But I don't especially like seeds or even some of the green
This
stuff
one's not good.
when we're doing this.
See how this one's kind of oblong? I try to
Is that the
pick
one I'm
out.
going to have to cut?
Yeah, I think so. I try to pick them out that are rounded. This one's going to be a problem. Maybe not. Yep,
Is it? Okay.
the core slipped.
This
That
has-
happens when you don't get a perfectly round
Yeah.
apple.
This has been one of the biggest lifesavers when we do apple pies or apple crisps, and everything, you know, generally, if the thing works,
Mm-hmm.
turns out perfectly. Nice slices and
It usually works.
well,
until
what
you
I
get those
like
oblong ones.
is that you can layer them, especially like when you're doing some of these desserts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's especially nice. So growing up, my mother used to do a lot of apple pudding, apples with pudding, like a lot
Okay.
of a white cake. So we would have an apple cake, blueberries, cherries, you know, whatever kind of the fruit that was in season was what she would do with a white cake. And having, you know, coming from a large family, there wasn't a lot. Well, there was really never anything left over. My brother Ken was a rather slow eater. I guess he was kind of ahead of his time because eating
Eating and
slowly,
enjoying his food.
Yep, enjoying his food and digesting better when you eat slower. But unfortunately, when you come from a family with 6 brothers and they're coming in at the noon meal time, you have to eat pretty fast to get, you know, some of that dessert, you know?
To get your portion.
Yeah, so he used to complain that he sometimes missed out on that dessert. But it's just kind of funny. My favorite dessert, though, would have been something with cherries in it, probably, rather than apples. We did have an apple orchard, though, so some of the apples.
Yeah, we had an
My dad
apple
would
orchard,
pick.
and then we had wild apple trees growing out in our pasture in the woods. So yeah, we had a fair amount of apples around. Yeah.
Okay, so for the topping, after Gary gets the apples in our 9 by 13 pan, the topping is going to be 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of firmly packed brown sugar, 1 cup of oatmeal, and then we're going to add a quarter teaspoon of baking soda, and a quarter teaspoon of baking powder. And I like to just process that a little bit before I add in the butter. Just mix it up a bit. Okay. Then I'm going to add 1 stick of butter, and I like to get the butter out of the refrigerator right before I'm going to use it so that it's still nice and cold and chilled, because if the butter is too soft, then the topping is going to end up being a little bit softer than what I want when it's pulsing. So you want it to be crumbly when it's done pulsing. I think I got everything here. Okay, so that should be good. Okay, so I'm just going to finish cutting up these slices so that when we dump them in our pan, they'll be all ready to just layer, kind of. If there's any extra seeds, I like to take the seeds out. You don't grease the pan when you're doing this apple crisp. So I'm just taking them apart, making sure that anything's out that I don't want in there, and then I'll just kind of layer them. It's very similar to making an apple pie, the way I layer them. And Gary's favorite to put on an apple crisp, of course, would be a nice scoop of ice cream. And growing up, I think my dad used to enjoy a piece of cheddar cheese, which I believe is a Wisconsin, kind of tradition. So you could have some ice cream or whipped cream, and then add some cheese. Well, your slice of cheese to your dessert. And your pan is going to be very full, and you're going to think, I wonder if it's going to overflow, but I've never had that happen. So it should be okay. Okay, now to your apple slices, we're going to add 1 cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon flour, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. And I'm generally pretty generous with my cinnamon, so it can be more than a teaspoon, because I like my pie and apple crisps to be nice and have a nice cinnamon flavor. So we're just going to thoroughly mix all that together, and then we're going to pour this on the apples, just so you cover them. You can kind of mix the sugar around a little bit so that they're all covered. And of course, if you didn't want this much sugar, you can always add a little bit less if you want it to be a little bit more tart. Move our apples a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to just pour on a 1/2 cup of water. And then we're ready for the topping. So as I said, the topping should just be kind of crumbly. And then you can just crumble that on. And I make an apple pie that also has walnuts in it, so you could actually top it with walnuts too, to put that in your topping if you wanted. If you'd like to have some extra crunch in there. So it's just going to sit on there really nicely. Okay, so I'm all set to put that in the oven, and the oven is already preheated. And I'm going to put my kitchen timer on for 45 minutes. So after we bring that out of the oven, then we're going to have a little bit of dessert with Brett. So now we're going to have to be really patient to wait for our dessert to bake. Well, Brett, you are in luck because we still have another 28 minutes for that other apple crisp to be done. But we just happened to make 2 in advance. So lucky you. Your lucky day. So in addition to, like just making a 9 by 13, it's almost the same equivalence, but a little bit larger, making 2 this size. This is one that I'm actually giving to some friends whose husband is ill right now. And then we have another one, of course, for our consumption on the show. So what I did with the 2 of these is added about another quarter of the amount, like for the apples and for the topping. Okay, so basically the same. So you're gonna have to see if it measures up to whatever you've tasted before. Okay.
I'm guessing it's going to
Yeah.
measure up. Yes.
So now we typically will let it cool down a bit more. And this is
There's no time to. Oh.
And
there's no time to cool for
actually-
today. Let's just eat it warm.
I actually made this using the convection oven. So it's pretty watery and took half the time because I knew how hungry you'd be wanting to try this. And I don't have ice cream, but I just happen to have some
Little
real
whipped cream.
whipping cream.
There you go. Look at that melt into there. Ooh. Now that might be a little warm
so
right now.
Gary, are you gonna have some?
I'm gonna pass right now. I'm gonna let it warm. Okay.
You
Yeah.
tossed him into it.
Yeah, it wasn't.
yeah,
it wasn't
I
that hard.
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
it's,
gonna pass.
It's really not gonna be that
Yeah.
hot. So
Okay, I'll do this.
I'm just gonna let you 2 try this. Okay.
She's gonna let us burn
'Cause
our
Gary-
mouths. She's gonna let us burn our mouths on the hot apples.
Gary hates to eat alone,
Smells.
and
Mm-hmm.
I have my
That extra cinnamon's gonna be the best part.
yeah.
I know it. Okay.
So I'm just gonna let you 2 try it and see
Here
what
we
you
go.
think. And are the apples done sufficiently
Mm-hmm.
soft, but yet a little bit, still has
Soft
some
but firm.
firmness to them yet, you
Mhm.
think?
Yeah, they have a little bit of crunch, which is
There's a little
perfect.
crunch. Yep,
Yeah.
I think it's just right.
Good.
Mhm.
So is it okay?
It's very.
And you were not
it's
expecting
amazing.
apple crisps today.
I was not.
Of
Actually.
course, you never really know what we're
I
going to do.
don't.
do
I
you?
just show up.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm so glad you showed up today. So, if you guys are ready for the sign off, I hope
Ready.
everybody's enjoyed this episode. We
can
especially
probably sign
love.
off and we'll just keep eating.
I know. We especially love doing, different shows when either you or Brianna can, have something and try it,
Behind the
come
side.
out
Yeah.
from behind the camera.
Mhm.
So from Cooking with Ruth and Gary, until next time, happy cooking.
Now you're gonna get her all hot and bothered.
Are you
She is.
hot?
Now she's starting to get getting a little red. Go ahead, stick your head in the freezer. That's fine.
So,
So what do we want to do?